The laughing invaders. The galaxy was old. Stars had burned and died long before humans ever looked up at the sky. Great empires rose between the stars, ruled by cold logic and endless machines. One of those empires was the Krell Dominion. They believed the universe was simple. Strong worlds ruled, weak worlds vanished. Mercy was a waste, emotion was a flaw. The Krell laughed often, not with joy, but with pride. They had conquered hundreds of systems. Their ships were black and sharp. Their weapons could crack moons. Krell children were taught one truth from birth: nothing could threaten them. Then the sky above their home world broke. The warning came too late. Sensors screamed, stars twisted, space itself tore open. From the rift came weapons not made by any known race. No enemy spoke, no demand was sent, only destruction followed. Krell fleets rushed to defend their world. They were erased in seconds. Ships melted, planet-side shields failed, cities burned under a silent storm. The Krell rulers panicked. They searched their records. No race matched this power, no treaty existed. No reason was found. Their empire fell in a single day. The homeworld shattered. Oceans boiled. Billions died without understanding why. One Krell survived. He was a low observer, not a warrior. His escape pod drifted away as his world cracked behind him. He watched his sky turn to fire. Everything he knew was gone. Fear was new to him. Krell were not meant to feel fear, but alone in the dark, fear found him anyway. He drifted for months, passing dead systems and silent stars. He saw ruins of other empires too. Burned worlds, broken rings, empty orbits. The universe was changing, and no one knew why. Eventually, the survivor was found by a galactic coalition. They were ancient races, cautious and slow. They listened as he told his story. They did not laugh. They showed him something worse, a map of the galaxy, marked with dead zones. Each zone was once a proud civilization, all destroyed in the same way. Silent, fast, unstoppable. Then the map shifted. The destruction path moved outward toward the outer spiral, toward a small yellow star. The Krell survivor saw it, a tiny system, barely noticed before. No great fleets, no energy shields, no signs of power, a weak world. The coalition dismissed it at first. They called it harmless, primitive, insignificant. They said its people fought each other, that they lived short lives full of pain, that they would never matter. The Krell survivor stared at the blue dot on the screen. Something about it felt wrong. This world sat untouched, unclaimed, ignored, in a universe where nothing survived long. This small world still lived. Scouts were sent, and when the reports returned, laughter filled the halls. The planet had no planetary guns, no visible defense grid. Its people had fear in their history, pain in their art, war in their past. They called it Earth. The decision was easy. The coalition would pass by it. There was nothing worth taking, nothing worth fearing. The Krell survivor did not laugh. As the invader fleets changed course, something ancient stirred near that yellow star. Something unseen, something patient and far away. On a fragile blue world, humanity looked up at the sky, unaware that the galaxy had just made its greatest mistake. The species that feels too much. The coalition fleets moved through space with calm confidence. They had seen thousands of worlds. They believed they understood life. To them, survival meant control. Pain was a failure. Emotion was a weakness. They studied Earth from far away. They saw crowded cities. They saw pollution, conflict, noise. They saw a species always fighting itself. The reports were clear. Humans were fragile. Their bodies broke easily. Their lives were short. Their technology was uneven and slow, compared to the great empires of the galaxy. Humans were nothing. The coalition marked Earth as low risk. No shields, no starfleets guarding the system, no sign of advanced weapons. Some analysts joked that Earth would destroy itself without help. Others laughed at the idea of humans surviving any real invasion. Far away, the Krell survivor listened. He remembered the day his world burned. He remembered how confident his people had been. He felt fear again. The coalition began limited actions near Earth. Not an invasion, only tests, small probes, silent scans. Satellites vanished. Signals were lost, but no alarm was raised. Then disaster struck Earth. A chain of natural failures followed. Storms stronger than before, earthquakes tearing cities apart, power grids collapsing, millions suffered. From space, it looked like chaos. The coalition observed quietly. They waited for surrender. They expected panic. Instead, something strange happened. Humans helped each other. Strangers shared food. Rescuers ran toward danger. Injured people refused to rest. Loss did not stop them. It pushed them forward. The coalition was confused. According to their models, morale should collapse. Fear should paralyze the population. But human activity increased. Factories restarted with broken tools. Hospitals worked without power. People sang, prayed, cried, and kept moving. Pain did not weaken them. Pain connected them. The observers updated their reports. Humans were emotionally unstable. Humans accepted death too easily. Humans fought even when survival odds were low. These traits were listed as flaws. The Krell survivor watched the feeds in silence. He saw something familiar, the same fire that burned in his people just before they died. But in humans, it did not fade. More disasters followed. Disease, hunger, loss. Human cities suffered deeply. Still, no surrender came. The coalition began to worry, not because humans were strong, but because they refused to break. A species that feels this much should not survive. Yet Earth endured, hidden deep in coalition archives. An old warning resurfaced. It was ancient, ignored, incomplete. It spoke of creatures shaped by suffering, creatures that grow dangerous when pushed too far. The file had no name, only a symbol. The Krell survivor leaned closer to the screen. His hands trembled. He felt the same fear he felt when the sky over his world fell apart, as coalition fleets slowly turned their attention toward Earth, as invasion plans began to form. One question spread through the observers: what kind of species survives pain like this? And why did the universe leave them alone for so long, broken, burning, and unyielding? The coalition no longer laughed. Earth was no longer ignored. Observation turned into pressure. Pressure turned into force. Alien fleets entered the outer edges of the solar system, not in full strength, only enough to prove a point. From their view, this was mercy. The first strikes were clean and distant. Human satellites vanished in bright flashes. Communication lines went dark. Early warning systems failed. On Earth, confusion spread. Governments argued. People panicked. The sky showed lights no human weapon could reach. The coalition sent a single message across open channels. Short and cold, Earth was ordered to submit. They expected fear. They expected collapse. Instead, they saw resistance. Human defenses were weak. Old fighters rose to meet impossible odds. Missiles missed their targets. Ships were lost in seconds. From orbit, it looked like a massacre. Coalition commanders mocked the effort. They recorded the battle as proof of human inferiority. Analysts marked Earth as defeated within hours. Cities burned. Next, targeted strikes hit military bases, factories, ports. Explosions lit the night. Millions died. The coalition watched closely. They waited for surrender signals. They waited for leaders to beg. None came. Instead, humans adapted. Broken systems were replaced with simpler ones. All machines were repaired by hand. Civilian vehicles became supply carriers. Underground shelters turned into command centers. Human soldiers kept fighting, even when wounded, even when outmatched, even when retreat meant survival. They chose to stand. The coalition did not understand this choice. Their own warriors withdrew when odds turned bad. Preservation was logical. Human behavior was not logical. Every loss seemed to harden them. Every destroyed city increased recruitment. Every death fueled anger, not fear. The coalition began broadcasting messages of dominance, showing destroyed human fleets, showing burning regions, trying to break morale. The effect was the opposite. Across Earth, people watched in silence. Then they worked harder, faster, together. Pain spread everywhere. Families were torn apart. Entire cultures were scarred. Still, humanity did not stop. The Krell survivor watched from a distant station. He recognized the pattern too late. This was not collapse. This was transformation. Coalition analysts noticed strange changes. Human tactics shifted rapidly. They learned enemy patterns after only a few encounters. They began predicting alien movements. Primitive weapons started hitting targets. Supply ships disappeared. Communication relays were sabotaged. Small victories appeared. Then more. Confusion spread among the invaders. This was not possible. Humans were supposed to be weak, their technology was inferior, their coordination, it should have failed, yet Earth still fought. Reports reached the highest coalition council. Human resistance was increasing. Casualties were higher than expected. Timelines were no longer reliable. For the first time in centuries, an invasion plan was rewritten mid-war. The coalition did not fear humans yet, but doubt had entered their thoughts. The Krell survivor felt something close to dread. He had seen this moment before, right before his own world fell. As the coalition prepared to deploy heavier weapons, as they planned to end the war quickly and completely, they failed to notice one thing. Humanity was no longer reacting. They were preparing something, and whatever it was not meant to save Earth alone. The species that refuses to die. The coalition changed tactics. They stopped testing. They stopped holding back. Heavier fleets moved closer to Earth. Ships designed to end wars in days. Weapons meant to erase resistance completely. From their view, this was the final step. Earth should have fallen long ago. Any logical species would have surrendered. Any rational mind would choose survival over pride. Humans did not. The first wave of heavy strikes hit hard. Entire regions vanished from the map. Mountains split. Oceans burned. The planet itself screamed under the force. Human losses were beyond counting. History would later struggle to name the dead. From orbit, Earth looked broken. Coalition commanders marked the operation as near complete. Victory projections returned to green. The celebration began quietly among the fleets. Then human behavior changed again. Human forces stopped defending cities. They stopped protecting territory. They stopped reacting. Instead, they moved. Small units vanished from tracking systems. Signals went dark by choice. Supply lines shifted without pattern. Humans abandoned anything they could not carry. They chose mobility over safety, speed over comfort. Coalition sensors struggled to follow them. Human groups spread out, then regrouped. They appeared where they should not exist. Attacks came without warning. Not large battles, precise strikes. Fuel depots exploded. Command ships lost power. Navigation systems failed at critical moments. The coalition adapted. They tightened formations. They increased patrols. Humans adapted faster. Their captured technology was stripped apart, not to copy it, but to understand it, to find its limits. Human engineers worked without rest, without sleep, often without hope of survival. They built weapons meant for one use only, tools designed to work once and then break. To the coalition, this was madness. Why build something that destroys itself? The answer came soon enough. Human attacks grew bolder. Ships rammed larger vessels. Pilots stayed on course until the end. Coalition crews panicked. Their training did not include enemies who welcomed death. Human soldiers were wounded and kept moving, burned and kept fighting, surrounded and refused to surrender. Every fallen human seemed to inspire 10 more. The coalition tried psychological warfare again. They broadcast images of destruction. They promised total extinction. Humans responded with silence. Across Earth, remaining populations focused on one goal: delay, damage, deny. They no longer spoke of winning. They spoke of making the cost unbearable. The Krell survivor watched the feeds with growing horror. This was not strategy alone. This was something deeper. Humans had accepted loss, accepted death, accepted pain, and in doing so, they had removed fear from the equation. Coalition reports began to change tone. Words like unpredictable, unstable, dangerous appeared more often. Casualties rose sharply. Command errors increased. Morale among alien crews declined. They had never faced a species like this, a species that fought harder the more it suffered. Deep within human command networks, a final plan took shape. It was not designed to protect Earth. It was designed to break the invasion. No matter the cost, only a few humans knew the full details. Most would never be told. Coalition long range. Sensors detected unusual energy movement across the planet. Patterns that did not match any known weapon. Analysts dismissed it at first. Then alarms began to sound. The Krell survivor felt a cold certainty settle inside him. This was the moment everything would change. As coalition fleets moved closer for the final strike, humanity made its choice, and the galaxy was about to learn what happens when a species refuses to die. When laughter turns to terror, the coalition fleets closed in. This was meant to be the final blow. Massive warships filled Earth's orbit, their weapons charged in perfect order. Their commanders were calm again. They believed the pattern was clear. Humans were exhausted. Their planet was broken. Their resistance was scattered. Victory was only moments away. The first command was given. The attack began. Then the universe stopped making sense. Human signals flared across the planet all at once. Not hidden, not quiet, but open and deliberate. Coalition sensors struggled to keep up. Energy readings spiked in ways never recorded before. Not from a single weapon, but from thousands of small sources. Humanity did not strike with one great blow. They struck everywhere. Old ships launched from hidden ports. Civilian craft followed them. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, broken fighters held together by hope. They moved without formation, without order, without fear. Coalition targeting systems failed. They were built to track fleets, not swarms driven by instinct and sacrifice. Human ships charged directly into enemy lines. Some exploded before firing. Others rammed larger vessels, tearing through shields by sheer force. Coalition crews froze. They had never seen an enemy, refused to turn away. Human weapons followed, crude, overcharged, unstable, built to burn out after one shot. But one shot was enough. Command ships lost power. Carriers broke apart. Entire formations collapsed into chaos. The coalition tried to regroup. Orders overlapped. Signals conflicted. Humans exploited every second. Ground-based systems joined the fight. Weapons once thought too weak reached orbit. Not through strength, but through timing. Through prediction learned from pain. The invasion plan unraveled. For the first time, coalition commanders felt something they had no word for. A tight pressure in their thoughts. A cold awareness that logic was failing them. Fear. Humanity pushed harder. Losses were extreme. Entire human fleets vanished in flashes of light. Still, more came. There was no retreat order. No signal of surrender. Only forward motion. The Krell survivor watched in silence. He saw the same moment he had lived through. But this time, the roles were reversed. The hunters were becoming the hunted. Coalition vessels began to withdraw, at first in small numbers, then in waves. Human ships followed, not to chase survivors, but to make escape costly. Every retreat burned. Every jump out of the system left wreckage behind. Across the galaxy, emergency warnings spread. Invasion fleets reported unacceptable losses. Command structures failed. Enemy behavior was labeled catastrophic. One final coalition command was issued. Full withdrawal from the Sol system. The laughter was gone. Earth's orbit was filled with debris, fire, and silence. The human fleets did not pursue further. They had done what they set out to do. They had survived. From a distance, the blue planet still turned. Scarred, wounded, but alive. The coalition retreated into deep space. Their confidence shattered. Their records rewritten in shock. They had entered Earth's orbit laughing. Certain of easy victory, they left in terror. But even as the last alien ships vanished, human sensors detected something else. A shift in distant space. A reaction spreading beyond the coalition. The galaxy had been watching. And now it was paying attention. The new Galactic rule. The war ended without celebration. Earth did not cheer. There were no songs in the ruins. The planet was quiet. Cities lay broken. Oceans carried ash. Skies held scars that would last for generations. Humanity buried its dead, counted losses without numbers, and began again. Across the galaxy, the retreating coalition fleets carried panic. Their reports spread faster than any weapon. Not stories of defeat, but warnings. They spoke of a species that could not be measured. A species that did not retreat when logic demanded it. A species that fought harder the more it suffered. Galactic councils gathered in silence. Ancient races listened closely. They reviewed battle data again and again. Human weapons were inferior. Human ships were fragile. Human numbers were limited. Yet none of it mattered. The conclusion was unavoidable. Humans had changed the rules. Pain did not weaken them. It sharpened them. Loss did not break them. It united them. Where other species sought survival, humans sought meaning. A new classification was written into galactic law. Earth was marked as restricted space, not protected, avoided. Trade routes shifted. Exploration maps were redrawn. The Sol system became a silent boundary. Do not provoke. Do not threaten. Do not test. The Krell survivor watched it all from exile. He understood now what he had sensed from the start. This was why Earth had been left alone. not because it was weak, but because it was dangerous in a way no scanner could detect. On Earth, humanity rebuilt without knowing the full truth. They did not know how close the galaxy watched them. They did not know how many feared them. They only knew they had survived. Human children were born under repaired skies. They grew up hearing stories of fire and loss, not as warnings, but as proof. Proof that surrender was not part of who they were. Far beyond human space, alien academies studied the war. They tried to teach new rules, new doctrines. Never corner humans. Never rely on fear. Never assume pain will end the fight. Some races called humans heroes. Others called them monsters. Most chose silence. In hidden archives, a final note was added beneath Earth's name, written in dozens of alien languages. This species does not stop. This species does not break. This species will endure anything, and if threatened, they will burn the stars themselves to keep going. Humanity never sought dominion, never asked for fear or respect, but the universe had learned its lesson. The weakest-looking world had survived the impossible, and in doing so, had become something far greater. Not rulers of the galaxy, but its final warning. Because when humanity is pushed to the edge, when every rule fails, when survival demands surrender, humans choose one thing: they fight.